Okay, today is January 21st, 2019, and I am going to close my eyes and see what images arise that I can share today. Okay, the first thing I see is a person sitting in a bed and holding their face, and they're feeling upset and overwhelmed. And then I see large crowds of people. It looks like Washington, D.C. Again, lots of people gathering, but groups of them, all involved with very different causes. There are people there that are women's groups. There are people there that are children's advocates that want help for children. There are people who are grassroots. There's several of these grassroots organizations who want power to the people. There are groups that are related to lobbying in our government and the hypocrisy of the two-party system. I'm seeing quite a variety of groups that are gathering all around. It looks like a great big lawn near the Whitehouse. It looks like that big vertical plane that extends in front of the White House. And people are experiencing tremendous agitation right now, and they're feeling extremely emotional. The tone in this country is amped up emotions about events that feel like they're out of control of the normal person. And there's, from these groups of people, murmuring and sharing their discontent, their lack of trust. I particularly see lots of young people who feel they don't trust the government. The older people are looking at it with shock and awe, like, what's going on? Everything is falling apart. This is chaos. But young people, I'm talking 30 and under, they're looking at it like this is just something that cannot be trusted at all. It's not tolerable. And there's this momentum building in large groups of young people. The apathetic ones, of course, are falling on the side, but other people are, look, this can't last forever like this. We're not going to go along with this whole system. This is not what we signed up for. This is not what our lives are going to look like. And they use more of their technology and their communication devices to start interacting and creating these pockets, these groups of people that want to initiate action on a whole different level, on a level where they feel much more empowered and they feel heard. They do not feel heard. They feel completely disconnected from this power center. It's like I see a concrete wall around it, and nothing can really get into this concrete wall. The people within the House, the Senate, the politicians, the mechanism, how it works, the whole system that's existed for over 100 years, over 200 years, say, not 200, since this nation was founded, that this system is now clogged. I see like a toilet where things don't go down. It's blocked. It needs to be flushed out, literally. I see someone reaching out from the crowd with a huge hand, and the White House is turning into a giant toilet, and it's getting flushed. And so is everything in Washington, D.C. These groups of people that are completely out of touch with what's happening in the current United States human being population, the human population here. People want to be heard. And they are being heard. They feel they are. They feel they have the means to be heard. So who needs this big central controlling system with this iron fist? I see a big iron fist, and I see a cuff on it, a metal cuff, and a chain, and a ball, and I see the idea that we give allegiance and we're imprisoned at the same time, and the leaders, they almost want and expect populations of people to feel imprisoned. But that's not what's happening this year. What's happening this year is extreme emotion and events which are appearing on television and are upsetting people tremendously. They are not liking what's going on, and I have said that, and it's really going in deep, and there's this like murmuring and this like movement. A movement is afoot. And what do I see now? Let's tune into Donald Trump. Donald Trump. Okay, here I see beefy red face. I see a very red face. I see a lot of anger coming out. I see tremendous frustration coming out of this face. I feel like the facade that Donald is, the hair, the tan skin with the little white eyes. I feel the facade of Donald Trump. It's like a volcano building up in there, and it does affect his organs. It does affect his systems, his organs that are being overstrained, that are they want to erupt and express and flow normally, but they can't. They're bottled in, as particularly his heart. I feel a lot of energy around the heart, bottled up, bottled in, and like pressure building, high blood pressure. And I think he hides his personal health challenges from the population, but he is like a bull, and he's bending his head down, and he's got his horns out, and he's going to go forward because that's all he knows how to do. He only knows how to go forward and charge with his energy in his way, in his style. What I see now is something very interesting. I see him turning into an orange. And why am I getting an orange? Because the orange is all by itself. It's like a piece of fruit sitting in the White House. What the heck is this? It's another level of disconnect I feel with him. He's like a citrus fruit. He lives in Florida too. Okay, all right. He's really focused somewhere else all the time in his mind, where he would like to be, where he would prefer to be, living the good Florida sunshine life. Instead, he's plopped as an orange in the middle of a desk in an Oval Office, and he is disconnected from everything around him, from his staff, the people, his country, input, output, even the needs and wants and the good advice of his advisors around him. There's a massive disconnect. And his staff and people around him are looking at him like, oh, how can we get into penetrate this orange and get this orange to like open up the skin. And even the skin he's showing me is kind of orangey, like he fixes it up a little to make it look good. How can we open up this person a little, open up the being, the mind of this person to start getting some information, so there's this flow, so he could begin connecting with his Congress, with his Senate, with his advisors, and with his people. And what I'm getting now is almost like a containment in this orange skin that's almost bordering on pathological. He has a tape loop running, like he has segments in his orange. And you ask him a question like, what can we do about the children on the wall? And bingo, a little part of him goes to a segment of the orange and just repeats the script that's in that segment. And then you ask him another question about foreign policy, and he spins around, he goes to another segment in himself, and he recites the script in that particular segment. It's very interesting how his mind works. He is like almost like an automaton. He cannot take input, and that's why there's like a pathology or a kind of way that his wiring operates. It's very different from other people, because the rest of the world around him, I'm looking at the room and they're all appearing like bowls of fruit salad. You know, there's a little bit of everything in everybody, and they're all kind of connected and joined, and they feel the whole place is turning into fruit salad and the bowl is going to be dumped. I mean, that's what they are feeling, and they cannot penetrate into this person, which is this contained, held in, skinned in universe. And he has a very thick skin, and he has a very, the whole image of this orange is sitting there. I mean, it looks good, it looks delicious, but it's just not going anywhere. And it's sort of out of its element. What the heck is an orange doing in the Oval Office? It's a poor fit. It doesn't even match what's going on in its world. I mean, even if it was cutting itself up into fruit salad, it might make sense. This is a nation of different kinds of fruits, like a giant buffet, and there's an interaction and an opening up and sharing what the self is with everything around it. So this image is very, very interesting, and he just would like to be in Florida relaxing and doing his thing. That's basically it. And let me see what else comes in. These people are kind of like all around him, staff and people. Everybody's getting sense that it gets incrementally. I see a worm gear. A worm gear is like this big wooden thing that you crank from the Middle Ages when you're going to torture somebody. It's like a worm. And they're really feeling the pressing in, like they are literally being tortured by what is going on around them. The lack of flow. Some of them aren't sleeping at night. He of course is not. He's on a great deal of medication and drugs. I mean, everything from Viagra to perform in the past to mind-altering substances to keep his mood elevated and to keep him buoyant and to keep him focused, because he has like 10 streams coming into him at once. It's very hard for him to focus, so he needs help with focusing and staying the course. This is a problem for him because he breaks down into these internal segments of himself, and this gets very challenging. And they all see this and they're scared. I mean, the worm gear is cranking in like a medieval torture thing, and people in his immediate environment are suffering. They make excuses, a lot of excuses. Heavy denial is going on here because they have beliefs that a single powerful warrior leader solves all the problems. Meanwhile, all the people outside on the lawn, all these groups are saying, hey, that's the old way, that's the old system. What we want is power to the people. We want our voices heard. We want even our Congress and Senate to respond to us. There are things we need now. We want medical care. We want good homes where we could pay our bills and have reasonable fuel and reasonable gas prices and reasonable food prices and employment for everybody, and not this horrendous taxation situation that we're threatened with if we get good medical care. So there's this whole like energy going on with the masses, and they want to see things done in a very different way. So this year I see is going to be going up and down and up and down, and it's going to be very, very volatile, and our bull is going to charge ahead, and he's going to keep hitting a glass wall, and it's right in front of him, and he doesn't understand what it is. It's like this energy that keeps him from flowing out into his world. And of course, we have, whenever energy is put out, equal and opposing energy pushing right back at him. He doesn't like cooperation. He likes his will to be expressed. This is his biggest challenge. And there are those who want someone like that, a willful leader, and they want to move in that direction. But by and large, things are changing in this country, and this may not be the way of the future for Donald Trump. And that's what I see there. So thank you very much.